1 month after first contact, Earth received an invitation. The Galactic Council wanted human representatives to visit their central station. It was a great honor and a great challenge. The massive ring-shaped station orbited a stable star at the edge of the Orion Arm. For 10,000 years, it had been the meeting place for the 57 species of the Galactic Council. Now, it needed to prepare for its 58th member. "We must create special quarters for the humans," Council Chairperson Kun Wu told the station administrators. His blue viridian skin shimmered under the station lights as he floated in the low-gravity chamber. "They require higher gravity, higher oxygen levels, and different temperatures than any other species on this station." The administrators looked concerned. "Such conditions would kill most delegates," one said. "Exactly," replied Kun Wu. "Earth has been classified as a Class 12 death world, the highest rating ever given to a planet with intelligent life." The news spread quickly through the station. A death world species was joining the council. Some delegates were frightened. Others were curious. A few suggested that humans should not be allowed on the station at all. "They carry bacteria that could wipe us out," argued the Zintari ambassador, whose species was known for extreme caution. "Their physical strength could be dangerous," warned another. Kun Wu listened to all concerns. Then he spoke. "The Council has always valued diversity. Humans offer unique perspectives precisely because they evolved in conditions so different from our own. Yes, there are risks, but there are also great opportunities." While the station prepared, Earth selected its first official delegation. Captain Min Ho of the Earth Defense Force would lead the security team. Dr. Ju Ri, a xenobiologist, would head the scientific group. Ambassador Yong Su, who had helped establish first contact protocols, would be the chief diplomat. The journey to the station took 3 weeks in the Viridian ship provided for them. The humans had their own section with Earth normal conditions. The 20 human delegates spent the time learning about the Council's history and customs. "Remember," Yong Su told his team during the final briefing, "we will be the physically strongest beings on that station. We must be extremely careful not to harm anyone accidentally." Min Ho nodded. "My security team has been practicing in low gravity. We've learned to move slowly and touch nothing unless necessary." When they docked at the station, the human delegation was greeted by a committee of council representatives, all wearing environmental suits for protection. The humans were led to their specially constructed quarters, a section of the station with Earth normal gravity, pressure, and oxygen levels. "These rooms are considered hazardous to all other species," explained their Viridian guide. "Warning signs in all council languages mark the entrances. No one will enter without proper protection." The humans quickly realized they were essentially living in a reverse quarantine. They weren't being protected from the station. The station was being protected from them. During the first official council meeting, the human delegates sat in a special reinforced section. Ambassador Yong Su addressed the gathered representatives from dozens of worlds. "People of the galaxy," he began, "we come in friendship. We are honored to join this ancient community of stars." The council members watched the sturdy humans standing easily in gravity that would have crushed many of them. They saw a being who breathed oxygen levels that would be toxic to most. His warm-blooded body maintained a temperature that would cook the proteins of several species present. After the formal speeches, the real work began. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges, technology sharing. The humans learned that while many council species had more advanced space travel, humans had unique developments in other areas. "Your materials science is remarkable," a Talarian scientist told Dr. Ju Ri. "You designed alloys that can withstand pressures we never considered." "Because we need them," Ju Ri explained. "Our gravity demands stronger materials." The station's AVRI chief engineer Seok Jin took a particular interest in human physiology. "Your species evolved to handle impacts that would shatter most council races," he said during a tour of the station. "You heal from injuries that would be fatal to others." "Never thought of ourselves as particularly durable," admitted Min Ho. "On Earth, we seem normal, 2 weeks into the visit, an emergency siren wailed throughout the station. A coolant leak threatened an entire section. Toxic gas was spreading through the maintenance tunnels. "We must evacuate levels 16 through 22, announced the station safety officer. "Repair crews cannot enter until the gas disperses." Captain Minho stepped forward. "What is the gas?" Seokjin checked the readings. "Nitrogen-oxygen mix with cooling chemicals, deadly to most species here." "That's similar to what we breathe," Minho said. "With proper filters, my team could enter and fix the leak." The Council Safety Committee looked shocked. "You would voluntarily enter a toxic zone?" "It's not toxic to us," Minho explained. "Not with basic breathing equipment." While the committee debated, the situation worsened. The leak was spreading to critical systems. Finally, Kunwu made the decision. "Allow the humans to help," he ordered. "Their biology gives them an advantage here." Minho led a team of 4 humans into the affected area. With simple oxygen masks to filter the cooling chemicals, they entered zones that would have been death sentences for other species. In the control room, the council representatives watched through security cameras as the humans moved through the maintenance tunnels. "Incredible," whispered an observer. "They're walking through a lethal environment like it's nothing." The cameras showed Minho's team reaching the source of the leak. A support beam had fallen, crushing the coolant pipes. Station engineers guided the humans through the repair procedure via radio. Then something unexpected happened. As they were fixing the pipes, another beam gave way. It fell toward the team. What happened next amazed everyone watching. Security. Officer Yong-soo caught the falling beam, a metal support that weighed over 300 pounds. In the station's reduced gravity, his Earth-evolved muscles could handle the weight. He held it steady while the others completed the repair. "They're practically walking battle tanks," one council member whispered, "evolved in constant chemical warfare with their own planet." When the humans returned, they were treated like heroes. They had saved a section of the station that would have been lost otherwise. Their unique biology had turned a crisis into a minor incident. That evening, at a special dinner in their honor, Ambassador Yong-soo noticed a change in how the council members looked at the humans. There was still caution, but now there was also respect. "You must understand," Kunwu told him privately. "Most species here evolved in gentle environments. Moderate gravity, stable climates, carefully balanced atmospheres. Your world would kill them in minutes. What you consider normal, we consider extreme. And yet you built all this." Yong-soo gestured at the vast station around them. "We built it together over thousands of years," Kunwu replied. "Each species contributing their strengths. And now humanity brings new strengths. Physical resilience, adaptability, and something else we've noticed." "What's that?" "Your drive to explore. Most council species avoid harsh environments. You seek them out. Your people climb frozen mountains, dive into crushing ocean depths, and venture into burning deserts for fun. This mindset is as alien to us as your biology." As the human delegation prepared to return to Earth, they carried new knowledge, not just of alien technology and cultures, but of humanity's place in the galaxy. They had come from a world that the galaxy considered a nightmare. They had bodies that evolved to withstand conditions that would destroy most intelligent life. They were not just oddities. They were valuable precisely because of their deadly homeworld. Earth was no longer alone, but it was still unique. 2 weeks had passed since first contact. The special facility in Switzerland had become the center of a new relationship between humanity and the stars. Dr. Su-min floated in her low-gravity chamber, staring at human medical scans with all 4 of her eyes wide open. As the Viridian delegation's chief xenobiologist, she had studied hundreds of alien species. None had shocked her like humans. "This cannot be right," she muttered, tapping the display with a slender blue finger. "Run the tests again." Her assistant Jin-ho checked the equipment. "We've run the test 5 times, doctor. The results are the same." Su-min shook her head in disbelief. "They are walking miracles, or monsters. I'm not sure which." The chamber door opened and Ambassador Tae-woo floated in. His environmental suit was off as the room had been adjusted to Viridian needs. "What have you found?" he asked. Suman pointed to the displays. These humans evolved on a planet that should have killed any complex life. Their entire biology is built to survive conditions that would destroy most species. She brought up an image of human bone structure. Their skeleton is internal and reinforced with calcium deposits. What we would consider toxic metal buildup, they use as structural support. And this, she continued, showing blood samples. Their blood uses iron, actual metal, to carry oxygen. The same oxygen that would poison us they need to survive. Tae-woo studied the displays. What about their strength? In their gravity, which is almost 3 times ours, an average human can lift more than twice their body weight. On our world, they would be like, she searched for the right comparison, like titans from old stories. Are they dangerous? Tae-woo asked quietly. Sumin considered the question. They don't know their own strength compared to us, but their psychology is even more fascinating than their bodies. They evolved as prey animals before becoming predators. Prey animals? Yes. Unlike most intelligent species that evolved as apex predators, humans spent millions of years being hunted by larger creatures. It shaped their minds. They have both the caution of prey and the persistence of predators. They never give up. Tae-woo looked concerned. The council must know this. I've sent my reports, Sumin assured him. But there's more. She showed him another display. Their immune system is incredibly aggressive. They host billions of microorganisms. Inside their bodies, bacteria that would kill us in hours. To them, these are just normal gut flora. Their bodies are walking ecosystems. In another part of the facility, the human medical team was having their own revelations. Dr. Park examined the Viridian biological data with amazement. Their bodies are so different from ours, he told his colleague Dr. Kim. Their blood doesn't use hemoglobin. They have no solid bones. Their muscles would tear under our gravity. It makes you wonder how they built a spacefaring civilization, Dr. Kim replied. They seem so fragile. Yet they crossed the stars, Dr. Park noted. They must be stronger than they appear. That evening, a formal dinner was arranged. It was the first social gathering between humans and Viridians. Special accommodations had been made. Humans sat in normal chairs while Viridians floated in anti-gravity seats. 2 different meals were prepared, as their diets could not be more different. Ambassador Tae-woo gave a short speech about friendship between worlds. The human representative, Ha-jun, responded with warm words about a new era for Earth. Everything was going well until Ha-jun suddenly felt a tickle in his nose. He tried to stop it, but it was too late. Achoo! The sneeze seemed normal to the humans. To the Viridians, it was catastrophic. 3 Viridian aides who had been floating, closest to Ha-jun, suddenly collapsed in their anti-gravity chairs. Their blue skin turned pale. They gasped for breath through their masks. "Medical emergency!" shouted Sumin, rushing to her fallen colleagues. "Get them to isolation chambers." The room erupted in confusion. Human security personnel moved to protect their delegates, thinking something sinister had happened. Viridian staff rushed to help their sick comrades. "Stop!" Tae-woo's voice cut through the chaos. "Nobody move!" Everyone froze. "What happened?" asked Ha-jun, deeply concerned. Sumin looked up from one of the fallen aides. "Your sneeze happened. You released millions of bacteria and water droplets into the air. Our environmental suits filter most airborne particles, but some got through. To you, these bacteria are harmless. To us, they are deadly." Ha-jun's face showed horror. "I'm so sorry, I had no idea." "Not your fault," Tae-woo said quickly. "We knew the risks of meeting beings from a different environment." As the medical teams took the sick Viridians away, Tae-woo and Ha-jun sat alone, their dinner forgotten. "Your species," Tae-woo said carefully, "evolved on what we would classify as a death world." "A death world?" Ha-jun asked. "Yes. A planet so hostile that most galactic species would die there quickly. The gravitational pressure alone would crush most sentient races. The oxygen levels would be toxic. The temperature swings from pole to equator would be unsurvivable. Ha-Jun looked confused. But Earth is perfect for us, it's home. Exactly, said Tae-woo. You don't just tolerate those conditions, you require them to live. That's what makes humans so remarkable. The next day, the 3 sick aides were recovering in isolation chambers. The human medical team had offered to help, but there was little they could do. Human medicine was as dangerous to Viridians as human bacteria. In a specially constructed conference room, the science teams from both species met to discuss what had happened. We must establish stricter protocols, Su-min insisted. All humans must remain at least 3 meters from any Viridian. All rooms must have stronger air filtration. We can wear masks, offered Dr. Park. To reduce the risk of contamination, Su-min shook her head. Even your dead skin cells contain bacteria that are dangerous to us. Your entire planet is a bacterial breeding ground that would be considered a biohazard by council standards. The humans looked at each other, surprised by how dangerous they apparently were without even trying. If our world is so deadly, Dr. Kim asked, why did you contact us at all? Why not just observe from a distance? It was Tae-woo who answered, because what makes you dangerous also makes you valuable. The Galactic Council has encountered many species, but none that evolved in conditions like yours. Your biology, your adaptability, your resilience, these are extraordinary traits. He projected a hologram of the galaxy. There are worlds in our community that no council species can visit safely. Extreme environments that limit our expansion. But you humans, you might thrive where we cannot go. Ha-Jun stared at the hologram. You're saying we're special because we come from a dangerous planet? More than special, Tae-woo replied. You're unique. A species that finds comfort in conditions that would kill most intelligent life. A species that breathes poison, drinks acid, and carries metals in its blood. A species that hosts deadly microorganisms as symbiotic partners. He looked around at the human faces, seeing them in a new light. The question now is, what will you do with this strength? Will you become conquerors of worlds too harsh for others? Or will you become their protectors? The room fell silent as humans contemplated this new vision of themselves. All their lives they had thought of humanity as relatively fragile beings, on a nurturing planet. Now they learned that the galaxy saw them entirely differently. They were not weak, their world was not gentle, and the universe had just become much larger and stranger than they had ever imagined. The stars looked different from this part of the galaxy. Commander Dae-hyun stared at the view screen, his pale blue skin reflecting the glow of the unknown solar system ahead. His 2 hearts beat faster as the scout ship, Gentle Breeze, moved closer to the 3rd planet. Commander, the readings make no sense, said Science Officer Ji-eun. Her 4 eyes blinked rapidly as she checked her instruments again. This planet should not support life. Dae-hyun floated across the bridge. The Viridians had evolved in low gravity, and their thin bodies could move with little effort. He looked over Ji-eun's shoulder at the data. Explain, he said. The gravity is almost 3 times our homeworld. The oxygen levels would be toxic to us. The temperature swings are extreme. Parts of the planet freeze while others burn, and the radiation from their sun. She paused. Commander, nothing intelligent should live there. Yet the screens showed something impossible: cities, roads, flying machines. Radio signals filled their receivers. Life finds a way, Dae-hyun said quietly. He had been exploring space for 50 cycles, but he had never seen anything like this. Send out the stealth drones. Let's see these beings up close. The drones were small, no bigger than a finger. They could fly through Earth's atmosphere without being detected. Within hours, they were sending back images that shocked the entire crew. They walk on 2 legs, reported Taeho, the drone operator. They move easily in that crushing gravity. And look, they breathe that poisonous air like it's nothing. The bridge crew gathered around the screens. They watched humans going about their daily lives completely unaware they were being observed by visitors from another world. They have metal vehicles that burn toxic fuels, Ji-eun noted. They eat plants and animals from their world, foods that would kill us instantly. A human child fell on a playground, scraping its knee. The Viridians watched in horror as red blood appeared. "Their blood contains iron," gasped Medical Officer Sunmi. "A metal flows through their veins. And look at their bones on these scans. Reinforced with calcium deposits, they're partly metal inside." Commander Daehyun made a decision. He called for silence. "This discovery is too important for a simple observation mission," he said. "These beings have developed technology while living in conditions that would kill any council species in minutes. The council must know about them immediately. Protocol says we should observe primitive species from a distance," reminded Junho, the mission's legal advisor. "These are not primitive," Daehyun replied. "Look at their cities, their technology. They've split the atom. They've sent machines beyond their own planet. They may not have faster-than-light travel yet, but they are not far from it." He turned to Communications Officer Minji. "Send a message to the Council. Tell them we have discovered intelligent life on a Class 12 death world. Request permission for first contact." The crew stared at him. A Class 12 death world was the most dangerous category in the galactic database. No intelligent species had ever evolved on such a planet. First contact? With death worlders? Ji-eun's voice was barely a whisper. "Yes," said Daehyun. "These humans may look soft, but think about what their bodies must be capable of. They evolved on a planet that would crush us, breathing air that would burn our lungs, drinking water that would poison us. Their very existence challenges everything we know about life. For 3 days, the gentle breeze orbited Earth, hiding behind the moon. They collected more data while waiting for the Council's response. They watched humans climb frozen mountains, dive into crushing ocean depths, and survive in burning deserts. They live everywhere on their planet," marveled Ji-eun, "in conditions that vary wildly. They adapt instead of changing their environments to suit them." Finally, a message arrived from the Galactic Council. "Permission granted for first contact," Minji announced. "The Council is sending a diplomatic vessel. We are to prepare the humans for their arrival." Daehyun nodded. "It is time to introduce ourselves, find their largest governing body, and prepare a transmission." The communications team identified the United Nations as Earth's closest thing to a world government. They prepared a simple message, in all Earth languages. "We come in peace and friendship," Daehyun recited as the cameras recorded his message. "We are travelers from a distant star. We wish to meet with your leaders." The message was sent directly to the United Nations headquarters. In New York, Earth exploded with activity. Humans panicked, celebrated, prayed, and prepared for the unknown. Military forces went on high alert. Religious leaders claimed it was the end times. Scientists worked day and night to prepare questions and data. 7 days later, the diplomatic vessel, Harmonious Dialogue, arrived. It was much larger than the scout ship, with special quarters built for hosting alien species. Ambassador Tae-woo led the delegation that would meet the humans face to face. He had studied hundreds of first contact scenarios, but never one with death world inhabitants. "Remember your environmental suits," he told his team. "Earth's atmosphere will kill you in minutes. Their microbes could be deadly. The gravity will strain your bodies. Do not touch anything unless your scientists have cleared it." The meeting location was a special facility built quickly in neutral Switzerland. The humans had pumped out some of the oxygen and reduced the gravity slightly in the meeting room, a gesture of goodwill that impressed the Viridians. When the diplomatic shuttle landed, thousands of humans watched from a safe distance. News cameras broadcast to billions around the world. Ambassador Tae-woo stepped out first, his environmental suit glittering in the sunlight. He was tall by Viridian standards, almost 5 feet, with the typical blue skin and 4 eyes of his species. His breathing mask processed the air, removing most of the oxygen that would harm him. The human delegation approached. They walked easily in what the Viridians experienced as crushing gravity. They breathed the poisonous air without help. Their warm bodies contained metals that would kill a Viridian. The leader of the human delegation stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth," said Secretary General Han. "We are honored to be the first humans to greet visitors from another world." Taewoo raised his four-fingered hand in the greeting gesture the Viridians had observed humans using. "The Galactic Council sends greetings to humanity," he said through his translator. "We come seeking friendship and knowledge." As they walked toward the meeting facility, Taewoo was careful not to show his fear. These humans seemed peaceful, but they had evolved on a world that would kill most galactic species in minutes. Their bodies were natural marvels, stronger, denser, and more durable than any council race. The deadliest world in the galaxy had produced something unexpected, a species that didn't know its own strength, a species that considered themselves normal, even fragile, a species that had no idea how special they truly were. First contact had begun. 6 months had passed since humans joined the Galactic Council. Earth was changing rapidly. New technologies arrived daily. Humans learned about thousands of new worlds. Trading ships from distant stars now orbited alongside Earth's satellites. But not all news from the stars was good. Admiral Jae-hyuk of the newly formed Earth Defense Force sat in a briefing room in Seoul. On the screen before him, Galactic Council Chairperson Kun Woo looked grave. "We have a serious problem," the Viridian said. His blue skin looked pale even through the video link. "A neutron star fragment is heading toward the Viridian home system." Jae-hyuk frowned. "A neutron star fragment? I'm not familiar with that term." "It is rare," Kun Woo explained. "When neutron stars collide, they sometimes eject dense matter. This fragment is small, only a few kilometers across, but contains the mass of a small moon. Its gravity is pulling it toward our sun." "Can you destroy it?" Jae-hyuk asked. "No. Its density makes it impossible to break apart with our weapons, and its path cannot be altered enough to avoid our system." "Then evacuation?" Kun Woo's four eyes blinked slowly. "That is also a problem. The fragment is already affecting our star. Radiation levels are rising throughout our system. Normal ships cannot survive long enough to evacuate our population." Jae-hyuk understood. The Viridians had evolved on a low-radiation world. Their bodies had little natural protection against cosmic rays. In contrast, Earth organisms had evolved with significant radiation protection, as Earth's magnetic field was weaker than many inhabited worlds. "How much time do you have?" 3 Earth months until the radiation reaches lethal levels. 6 months, until the fragment's gravity causes catastrophic damage to our planet. Jae-hyuk nodded. "I'll bring this to our leaders immediately." The emergency meeting of Earth's United Nations Security Council started an hour later. Representatives from all nations gathered to hear about the Viridian crisis. "Their entire civilization will be destroyed," Jae-hyuk explained. 8 billion Viridians have no way to escape their system. "Can't the other council species help them?" asked one representative. "They face the same problem. Their ships and bodies cannot handle the radiation levels. The Viridian system is already becoming what they call a death zone." The room fell silent. Then Medical Officer Na Young, who had been working with alien biology, spoke up. "But we come from a death world," she said quietly. "Our bodies and technology were built to handle harsher conditions." All eyes turned to her. "What are you suggesting?" asked the Secretary General. "A human rescue mission," Na Young said. "Our bodies can withstand radiation levels several times higher than other council species. With proper shielding and medication, we could survive long enough to complete an evacuation." The debate lasted for days. Earth scientists worked with Viridian experts to analyze the risks. The radiation levels in the Viridian system would be dangerous for humans, but not immediately fatal as they would be for other species. Finally, a decision was reached. Earth would send a rescue fleet. "It's not just about saving the Viridians," Jae-hyuk told the crew of 50 volunteer ships. "It's about showing the galaxy what humans can do, what our death world biology makes possible." The fleet departed 2 weeks later. Each ship carried radiation protection never before needed, by humans, but still less than what any other species would require. Medical Officer Na Young had developed protocols that would be fatal to other species, but merely uncomfortable for humans. When they arrived at the Viridian system, the situation was worse than expected. The neutron star fragment had accelerated, and radiation levels were already climbing rapidly. "We have less time than we thought," Captain Minji reported from the lead ship. "Maybe 4 weeks before radiation levels become dangerous even for us." Jae-hyuk's face hardened on the video link. "Then we work faster. Begin evacuation immediately." The human ships spread throughout the Viridian system. They landed on the Homeworld and 6 colonies. The Viridians had already organized their people, but had given up hope of rescue. When human ships arrived, their despair turned to amazement. "You came into a death zone for us?" asked a Viridian elder as humans helped evacuate a small colony. "What you call a death zone is not so different from where we evolved," explained a human crew member as she guided Viridians onto the ship. "We can handle this." On the Viridian homeworld, the radiation was highest. Human crews worked in protective suits, but even when equipment failed, their bodies continued to function. "Their DNA repair mechanisms are incredible," reported a Viridian scientist watching the humans work. "Radiation damage that would kill us in minutes, they shrug off in hours." The evacuation proceeded day and night. Human ships filled with Viridian refugees would leave the system, transfer them to waiting council vessels at a safe distance, then return for more. The work was exhausting, but the humans pushed themselves harder as radiation levels climbed. By the 3rd week, equipment began to fail more frequently. Radiation damaged electrical systems faster than they could be repaired. Several human crew members showed signs of radiation sickness, but refused to leave. "We're not done yet," said Captain Minji when ordered to pull her team out. Her skin was pale and radiation burns marked her hands, but she stood firm. "There are still thousands waiting for evacuation in the southern continent." On Earth, medical teams prepared for the returning crews. They knew many would need treatment for radiation exposure, but no one suggested stopping the mission. "This is why we evolved on a death world," Jae-hyuk told the United Nations in a progress report. "So we could go where others cannot. So we could save those who would otherwise be lost." By the final week, the situation had become dire. Radiation levels exceeded safety limits even for humans. Ships were failing faster than they could be repaired. But the evacuation continued. In orbit around the Viridian homeworld, Captain Minji's ship loaded the last refugees from the capital city. Her crew moved slowly now, their bodies fighting radiation damage. Medical Officer Hyunwoo administered constant treatments to keep them functioning. "Just one more run," Minji insisted, looking at the scanner. "There's a group of about 200 in the western mountains." "The ship won't survive another landing," her engineer warned. "And neither will we if we stay much longer." Minji looked at her crew. They were tired, sick, and pushing beyond their limits. But when she asked for volunteers for one final mission, every hand raised. They landed in the mountain region as their ship's systems flickered and failed around them. The remaining Viridians were scientists who had stayed to gather final data about the neutron star fragment. "We expected to die here," one of them said as humans helped them aboard. "No species would risk their lives for strangers." "We would," replied Minji simply, "because we can." The ship lifted off for the last time, systems failing one by one. They reached orbit with emergency power only. The main engines gave out completely, just as a rescue ship from the human fleet reached them. As the Viridian scientists were transferred to safety, they looked back at their doomed homeworld. Then they looked at the humans who had saved them, beings from a planet so harsh that it had prepared them for this moment. The neutron star fragment arrived 2 days later, its gravity tearing the Viridian planets apart. But the Viridian people survived. All 8 billion evacuated by creatures who called a death world home, and the galaxy watched in awe. 1 year after the Viridian rescue, the galaxy had changed. The story of humans saving an entire civilization spread to every corner of Council space. The species from the death world had proved their worth beyond any doubt. On a new planet named New Viridia, the survivors built a memorial. It showed a simple human hand reaching down to help, with words in many languages. From the deadliest world came the most determined life-givers. The impossible biology of Earth created the galaxy's greatest gift, humans who turned death worlds into cradles of hope. Earth, once an isolated world, now stood at the center of a new era in galactic politics. Humans were sought after for missions that other species couldn't handle. Their unique biology made them valuable in ways no one had expected. Special Commander Yun-Ho stood before a group of alien trainees at the newly established Galactic Crisis Response Force Academy. The academy had been built on Earth, the only place where other species could learn human survival techniques in controlled environments. Today we will practice emergency procedures in Earth normal gravity, Yun-Ho told the 20 aliens watching her nervously. They wore special suits to protect them from Earth's atmosphere and reduce the crushing gravity they felt. Remember, you're training. Move slowly. Conserve energy. The aliens came from 10 different council species. All had volunteered to learn from humans. Despite the risks of training on a death world, why do we train in these harsh conditions? Yun-Ho asked them. A Talarian trainee raised a trembling hand. Because if we can function here, we can function almost anywhere. Exactly, Yun-Ho nodded. Earth is the ultimate training ground. The gravity, the atmosphere, the bacteria, the temperature swings, all of these shaped humanity. Now they will help shape the galaxy's future protectors. The training was difficult. 3 trainees had to be sent back to the medical bay when the Earth normal gravity caused minor bone fractures, but most continued, pushing their bodies to adapt as much as possible. In orbit above Earth, a different kind of cooperation was happening. Ambassador Hyun-woo guided a delegation of council leaders through the newly completed Harmony Station. This is the first space station designed to accommodate all council species, including humans, Hyun-woo explained as they moved through various sections. Each area has different gravity, atmosphere, and temperature settings. The council representatives were impressed. Most space stations required visitors to wear environmental suits or stay in specially designed quarters. This one allowed free movement between sections with different conditions. This is what humanity brings to the council, Hyun-woo said. Our understanding of extreme environments helps us create places where all species can work together. Council Chairperson Kun-woo, who had survived the evacuation of his homeworld, nodded in agreement. Humans don't just survive where others perish. They bring that survival to others. News came from across the galaxy about humans making differences on worlds where other species couldn't go. On Caraxus, a mining colony suffered when toxic gas erupted from deep caverns. Local species couldn't enter the mines to repair the ventilation systems. A team of human engineers completed the work in a single day, breathing through simple filters where others would have needed full environmental suits. On the ocean world of Thalassa, rising acid levels threatened native sea life. Human marine biologists worked alongside local scientists, diving to depths that would crush most species, enduring pressure and acidity that others couldn't tolerate. When a virus spread through the agricultural world of Demeter, threatening food supplies for a dozen systems, human doctors worked in the hot zones without fear. Their immune systems, evolved to fight Earth's countless pathogens, gave them natural resistance that saved millions. In the council chambers, some began to worry about human influence growing too quickly. Admiral Jae-hyuk addressed these concerns directly. Yes, we come from a world that the galaxy considers deadly, he acknowledged. Yes, our bodies can endure conditions that would kill most of you, but Earth taught us something more important than physical strength. He looked around at the assembled representatives from dozens of worlds. Earth taught us that survival depends on cooperation. For millions of years, humans competed and fought each other. We nearly destroyed ourselves more than once. But we learned that our greatest achievements came from working together. He gestured to the stars visible through the chamber's transparent dome. We don't want to conquer the galaxy, we want to protect it. We were forged in adversity that would break most species. But it didn't make us conquerors, it made us rescuers. On Earth, changes were happening too. Humans began to see their world through alien eyes. The crushing gravity that had shaped their sturdy bones. The oxygen-rich atmosphere that powered their energy-hungry brains. the extreme temperatures that forced them to adapt to everything from Arctic ice to burning deserts. Children in schools now learned that Earth was special, not just as humanity's home, but as the crucible that had forged a species unique in the galaxy. A species that considered normal what others found impossible. At the Galactic Crisis Response Force graduation ceremony, Yoon-ho watched with pride as the first class of mixed-species emergency responders received their insignia. They had trained in Earth gravity, learned to work in extreme environments, and prepared to face disasters across the galaxy. "You have done what many thought impossible," she told them. "You have adapted to conditions far from your own worlds. You have learned from Earth, the deadly homeworld of the galaxy's greatest species." A Viridian graduate floated forward, still wearing his gravity reduction suit. "We could not have done it without human teachers," he said. "You showed us that barriers can be overcome, that biology is not destiny." As the ceremony ended, news arrived of a mining accident in a distant system. Without hesitation, the new graduates prepared for their first real mission. Humans would lead the team, but every species would contribute their unique abilities. On a view screen in the graduation hall, Ambassador Hyun-woo addressed the United Nations back on Earth. "The galaxy has changed forever," he said. "For thousands of years, species avoided the harshest worlds. Now, with humanity's help, no environment is too extreme. No disaster is too dangerous. The deadliest world produced the greatest life-givers." As human and alien rescuers headed toward danger together, the words on the New Viridia memorial rang. True. Earth, the deadly homeworld, had indeed produced the galaxy's greatest species, not because humans conquered the stars, but because they helped others reach them.